All right, everybody, back with a brand new Cabral concept. Crazy to say, but this is episode 3001. So if you didn't tune into yesterday's show, please do so. It was a fun show. I give you all the reasons why I didn't want to necessarily make it too wild, too different, or anything like that, even after 3,000 days of never missing a show. I go through all that yesterday, so definitely tune in, check it out. But today I wanted to go over a question that has come in consistently 2, 3, or 4 times a year, every year since the Cabral concept has been here. And that is on the efficacy of detox foot baths. So since we get so many house calls on the weekend asking about this particular question, again, at least 24 or so over the years, what I wanted to do was actually do a very fair and unbiased show on foot baths, basically foot detox baths. We'll call it all sorts of different things. Foot ionizers, et cetera, et cetera. And I always want to be fair, right? I really do, because here's the truth. I think most of these products and things, people are doing them and making them, one, because they saw a benefit. They felt great themselves doing it. The second is that they want to help people heal. And I love that. So I am not here to knock anybody down. There's so many people on Instagram and YouTube. They literally, I don't know what they do, but they make their living or whatever it is, just literally critiquing other people. I mean, what kind of a life is that where you're just always talking negatively? You wake up every day and you find a new person to criticize. I mean, those, I don't know about you, but those people should not be supported. That's complete madness that we are just talking so negatively about other people. So I'm not talking about any one particular company when I speak about this. What I am sharing with you, though, is the science behind foot detox baths. So let me just share with you. There was one specific study that was done. I'm going to give my thoughts on it. And although it is published on PubMed, and I think it has some real efficacy to it, I think we can also talk in generalities of what a foot detox bath is supposed to do. So if you're not familiar with it, what people do is they go to a health spa, a wellness spa, or maybe at home, and they put a solution into basically what looks like a bucket. And the bucket typically has an ionizer and it bubbles. So it has like little jets. Not always, sometimes you just add the solution to it. And an ionizer typically creates what's called negative ions. It doesn't always, but this is what we're saying today is a negative ion generator. And negative ions do have a lot of efficacy. So negative ions, when absorbed from your body like an earthing, actually help to squelch and reduce free radicals. We know that. Okay, so that's great. No doubt about it. So that's different though. That's different than detoxification. So again, we want to be careful what claims that we're making, because I think in natural health, we want to always raise our science basis so that we can not be criticized by conventional medicine. So we can say, no, what we're doing is just as scientifically efficacious as well. So we'll talk about the benefits and we'll talk about maybe some things that aren't necessarily true. All right, so there's another thing about foot baths too, is you can add baking soda, you can add herbs, you can add apple cider vinegar, you can add all sorts of different things. And some of these baths claim that it helps to draw heavy metals or draw toxins out of the body. So a study actually was conducted, and I'm going to quote it exactly, and then I'm going to link it up at stevencabral.com/3001. All right, so in this proof of principle study, we sought to measure the release of potentially toxic elements from ionic foot baths into distilled and tap water with and without feet. Water samples were collected and analyzed following 30-minute ionic foot bath sessions without feet using both distilled and tap water. And following 4 ionic foot baths using tap water once a week for 4 weeks in 6 healthy participants. Urine collection samples were analyzed at 4 points during the study. Hair samples were analyzed for element concentrations at baseline and study conclusion. Contrary to claims made for the machine, there does not appear to be any specific induction of toxic element release through the feet when running the machines according to specifications. All right, so that is what you hear from the studies themselves. And the end kind of conclusion was, after testing each sample, the scientists concluded that the foot detox bath does not reduce toxin levels in the body. Toxins did not leave the body through the feet. The system did not stimulate detoxification through the liver, kidneys, or hair either. That's it. Okay, so what I want to share with you is this, how they did it. So first off, they did do it correctly. This is exactly what I would do as well. If I was a research scientist conducting this, I would have the 2 baths. I would test the water because tap water is going to have impurities, right? There's no doubt about it. Even the machine might have impurities, so that we're testing the distilled water too. So what we do is we test the water before, then you have a subject complete a 30-minute foot bath, and then you test the water minus the solution you put in it, right? So let's just say the solution itself at baseline had some impurities because herbs can have impurities, right? So we're going to subtract that from the baseline and say, were there additional impurities brought in? And I would have done one more, and I'm sure they did this in the study, had the participants actually washed their feet ahead of time, right? Because we don't know what might have been brought in terms of, if they had any dirt or anything on their feet. Well, there are actually heavy metals and contaminants in the soil. And that's obviously well proven, aluminum and arsenic and many others, cadmium, etc. Okay, so they did that. Now, next up, you'd say there's only 6 participants. Totally agree. 6 is a very small number. So I don't disagree with that. I mean, would I like to have it done with more people? Sure. But to get a study done like this in the first place is so hard to do. So I'm actually fairly impressed. Okay. The next one, urine samples, just like we do. Candida metabolic and vitamins test, right? So like you're taking a urine sample. I mean, these things are legitimate. This is how we conduct real science. And you say, were additional contaminants shown in the urine, and maybe they did it the day after, because you need to give it some time to process through the body, right? Okay, and they said no additional ones past baseline. Then they did a hair tissue mineral analysis. Amazing. We do the same thing, right? We talk about this all the time. People say, oh, everyone always has something to say, but they've been using hair tissue mineral analysis with the government, with drug testing, with clinical scientific pregnancy-based tests in terms of contaminants during pregnancy, and so much more. So we use it every single day in our practice. It's called a minerals and metals test. And you actually test for heavy metals. So if you've never done it before, we actually offer this test free, which is wild. But we do that because if you've never actually done a functional medicine test before, you have to know what you're missing. That's really it. So you literally just pay shipping. That's it, shipping and handling. And it's only for first-time people because, of course, we couldn't do that, for everyone. But you can just find that at stevencabral.com. You can check that out. So, but anyway, they did the same thing. And they looked at the end of 4 weeks because remember, the toxins, so like let's just say heavy metals, the minerals and metals test looks at lead, arsenic, cadmium, mercury, and aluminum. So what it's going to do is it's going to look for additional excretion, right? So if this was detoxifying not just in the water, but it started a detox process in the body, in the hair, you wouldn't be able to see it right away because the hair grows at like 1/4 to 1/2 inch a month. So you'd actually have to wait that 4 weeks, cut the sample, not pull it out of your head because you're not looking at the bulb, you're looking at the hair, which is a protein that catches basically what you excrete from your body goes into the protein in the hair, and you'd be able to test that. That's exactly what we do. And they didn't find additional excretion. So, I mean, they did a good job. Like they did a pretty good job looking at this. I can't fault them in any way, shape, or form. So through this study, it does not seem to be that these foot baths are useful for detoxification. And I'm just going by what the scientific study shared that was done about 12 years ago. So it was done some time ago, but it doesn't mean that it didn't hold up. But what I want to share with you is this. I think there can be benefits to a foot detox-based bath or anything that increases sweating or improves negative ions in the body or relaxes the central nervous system. I believe that the biggest benefit that someone's really going to get from the foot detox baths is the calming in the central nervous system, the autonomic nervous system. Your feet, we've known for thousands of years through traditional Chinese medicine and Marma point therapy and Ayurvedic medicine that a great way to relax the body is through foot reflexology, acupuncture of the bottom of the feet, and so much more. Like there's just no doubt about it. Like just hitting the Marma points and the TCM acupuncture points are so important with calming the nervous system. So the other thing though is adding Epsom salt or adding just sodium bicarb if you wanted to. The solution and ability to just relax and sit there can be fantastic. So there's a relaxation aspect to it. Now, the other thing is water ionizers do work. They add negative ions to the water. The issue is we don't know how well it's absorbed, but we do know if the water is warm, and since the skin is porous, there should actually be some negative ion transfer. And there's some decent scientific research on earthing, aka grounding. And the best way to ground, yes, there are grounding mats that are great. My favorites are at stevencabral.com/resources, is you can just walk outside in the morning dew on grass on your lawn, and you can actually help to absorb negative ions that way. The other way is if you have a beach anywhere near you, walk close to the water and absorb those negative ions. Those are fantastic for reducing oxidative stress. Now, we're not talking about detoxification, but we're talking about free radical damage and oxidative stress. I'm about to share with you in just about 2 weeks a brand new water machine that I'm using, actually that increases antioxidants through an ionizer that's clinically proven to reduce oxidative stress in the body, free radical damage, inflammation. It's pretty fantastic. It's taken me a long time to make this recommendation. Literally put in at least 70 to 100 hours of just research on, I don't want to talk about all of it now because then I go on a tangent, but this is something that is legitimate. So, okay, so that part's legitimate, but we're not talking about detoxification, right? We're talking about negative ion generation and potential absorption through the body. Now, there's a couple of other things that I want you to be aware of. I do not and have not seen yet any efficacy of attaching the foot pads to people's pads with the herbs in them and either sleeping with them or just kind of having them on your feet. And people are like, well, they turn brown. I think they turn brown because there's herbs in them. I've tried them before. Again, this wasn't a study done on this, but I'm not sure about that. Like I really question that. Could there be some efficacy? Maybe, because I do know, in being over in India and Sri Lanka, we would do what are called medicated massages, where they would use oil that it was infused with herbs that could then be absorbed by the body. But you're putting it over the entire body, which I'm about to get to that in a second. And even over the entire body, the doctors over there said you absorb maybe about a teaspoon, maybe 2, when you use it on the entire body. Because you do. I mean, your body does absorb this transdermally with an oil, like a lipid, phospholipid-based base, and the herbs can get in. So can you get that through your feet? Yeah, I think you probably can, but I don't know how big of an effect it is. So the last part, and I'll say this, there is efficacy to using apple cider vinegar or bicarb or the ionizing effect, or even putting like not a poultice, but a mask. So using bentonite clay on your feet. And all of it is mainly local. So if there's fungus on the feet, if there's bacteria, if there's other things, that will help to draw it out locally. But we're not talking about a massive full body detoxification. Just like I've given you before, a face-based mask that you can use with bentonite clay, with French green clay, and another one using apple cider vinegar, which is more of an acid-based one because it's more acidic, okay? So my final thoughts, and then I want to talk about one last piece to it, is that I don't think there's anything wrong with using a foot, and I'll put detox in air quotes. If you're watching this on video, you can obviously see that, ionizing bath, but we'll just call it a foot ionizer, right? A foot ionizing bath rather than detox. I think it causes relaxation response. I think it can help increase negative ions. I think it can be overall fantastic locally on the feet as well. Okay, so there's benefits, but just not the detoxification benefits that maybe the claims were being made. So now how can you, if you're really looking for detox benefits, get more detox benefits? Well, 2 things that we really know do work. One is using a sauna, right? Because even if your feet sweat in the bath, it's good. But now picture your whole body sweating, right? If your whole body sweats, you're going to release far more stored toxins. And that we know clinically proven to be able to sweat out heavy metals, all sorts of different toxins from the environment, as well as mold. So we know saunas work. And again, my favorite saunas, unbiased look at all these saunas, stevencabral.com/resources. And the other one is a functional medicine detox. The one we use is through Equilife but there are others as well that you're welcome to use. And these, though, are based on liver detoxification. And they go so far back, meaning like I've shared studies on Panchakarma that we did in India that showed an increase in the urine of toxins released. So really important that we understand that natural health is backed by science, and that when something is being claimed to be detoxifying, we want to be careful with that in an industry, because some things really do help speed up detoxification and some things maybe not necessarily. So I wanted to share that with you here today. Hopefully that was an unbiased look and wasn't harsh on what I think could be a great tool and modality for wellness-based centers, or maybe a relaxation-based technique right at home. So again, feel free to leave your comments below. If you agree, great. If you disagree, that's okay as well. I always want to hear what you believe to be true in your own, obviously, research and experience as well. And for all the details on today's show, head on over to StephenCabral.com/3001. Take care, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new Cabral concept. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.